Hey guys, I'm Natalia.
And I'm Audrey.
And you're listening to the Talk Baby to Me podcast,
where we discuss everything parenthood.
From under the covers
to becoming mothers.
We will guide you through every step of the way. And I mean every step, especially the things that you didn't get to read in those cookie cutter pregnancy books.
We'll have you laughing and crying and everything in between.
Because at the end of the day, that is what motherhood is. And the best part,
we got to do it together.
And now we get to do it with you. Hey guys, I'm Natalia.
And Audrey.
And you guys, today we have a very special guest. I was introduced to her by a really dear friend of mine. And I went through her page and I'm like, Maximalist mother, Lorissa Smith, a.k.a. Lorissa Violet. She's here all the way from San Juan, which I just found out that was a few hours away. So thank you so much for being here.
So San Juan Capistrano, though, not like...
Oh, no.
Not like San Juan, Mexico. Yeah.
To be clear, I just found out what this place was. And I used to live in San Diego, so let's just... Anyway, hi, babe.
Hi.
Thank you for being
here. Yeah, thanks for having me.
Okay, so since we already introduced the maximalist word, that verbiage, give us the meaning of what that is. Because I feel like, you know, it could mean so many different things. And a maximalist mother.
So... I was feeling like so much of what just everyone's focusing on right now, motherhood and other, is minimalism. Minimalism. Everything is all about minimalism. And that just didn't resonate with me. So when I was thinking about like my motherhood, like who am I as a mother and like what do I do as a mother and kind of my style as a mother, I thought maximalist. Like that's who I am, like maximizing my life, maximizing my time, maximizing the things that I do with my kids and my husband and for myself. And it's like not like, you know, like bulging all this stuff together, but like in a really meaningful way, like doing the most.
Yeah.
For myself and for them and for others around me.
In order to be able to have that mindset of like, I want this and this and this to all work out the way I want it, something had to have triggered you to get there.
So I come from corporate America, like big corporate mom, big corporate client. So everything that I have to do is very methodical. And everything that I have to do is very proactive. Like if I just woke up one day and was like waiting for my customer to tell me what they wanted or what their problems were, what their pain points were, I would fail. Like I would absolutely fail if I approached every day in a reactive way. Right. And so I feel like I kind of took that corporate mindset into motherhood of, okay, I can't prepare for everything. Like they're humans and their personalities that I can't control. But I can be proactive with my time management or with my mindset or with...
intentional.
In my intentions or, you know, okay, they've never been sick before, but when they are sick, like, how do I approach that? Am I a mom that's gonna, you know, like, call the doctor immediately? Am I a mom who's gonna, like, feel it out, give them a bath? You know what I mean? Like, all these little things where I feel like we can be a little bit more proactive. And I felt a lot of comfort in research and, like, a lot of comfort in knowledge. Instead of, oh my gosh, the problem's here with my kid. I'm having a tantrum, or like he's having a tantrum. Oh my gosh, what do we do? Like me and my husband, like, are we on the same page? Like, what's our discipline strategy? Like all these things. Yeah. Where if we can be a little bit more proactive. So I kind of felt like I brought my corporate into my motherhood.
Wow. So did you? You made plans and for situations you thought them through. You researched them. You kept those in the back of your mind for when a situation came up.
Yeah. I mean, and I think you can't do that for everything. Like, you can't catastrophize everything. You're going to prepare for everything, but, like, little things, if something, you know, struck me, oh, that's an interesting thought. Hey, husband, what do you think about this? Okay, so maybe if we encounter this, we know what to do. Right. So, like, having those little bits of information in my back pocket, which is what I have to do in the corporate job. Yeah. Like, I don't know what my customers' issues are, pain points are, and I work in technology, like, stuff can crash and, you know, whatever. But I can kind of, okay, if something goes wrong, how do I approach this? Who's the first person at the company that I'm going to? Like, that type of thing.
The way that you're just explaining that is so eloquently, like... but it makes sense because it makes sense
when you hear it like this.
And you planned to have a baby, right? You guys got married. You decided we want to have a baby. So you kind of went into it with like this... Hey, I know that we're going to have a baby. We know the things that arise at motherhood. Let me just get ahead of it. And also, if something does occur that you weren't ahead of, let me kind of do a little research to back up what I'm dealing with. Mm-hmm. That's so amazing. And I feel like a lot of women do that or feel that on their second child. Because the first one's like, whoa. Like, and then the second one's like, I done this. I know it. I can be a little bit better about it. But you kind of knocked it out
Well, you know what's funny? My second one was a total shock, and I have Irish twins. So I actually feel the opposite because I was super prepared for the first one.
Oh.
And I might go TMI, but the very first time my husband and I had sex after my first one, we got pregnant with the second one.
Yeah.
What?
And
That
we were
happens
not
so often.
Ready for
Yes.
that.
Yeah.
But we did it.
It was a surprise second baby.
It was a surprise. He'll say it wasn't a surprise. I was very surprised.
He's
I was
like, listen,
oh
I
gosh,
knew what
like,
I was
I'm
doing.
pregnant. So I do feel maybe like a little bit of the reverse, which I did have like an oh crap moment.
Yeah.
But I think, like, again, you cannot prepare for anything. I couldn't
Right.
prepare for that. But, like,
Yeah.
you can do a bit of proactive reasoning and mindset versus just going into everything in a
So
reactive
helpful
way.
because you just lose your mind when you're not prepared.
And that makes
Yeah.
me wonder
Yeah.
too,
Yeah.
like because,
Not that you can be prepared, but
right.
Totally.
And I like that we're continuously saying the word proactive because there's a difference of being like saying I'm completely prepared for something.
I'm in control. Yeah.
It's
Yes.
actually proactive is very different because
Yeah.
it's like you lose that control factor of it and you're just saying I have the thoughts of what would and what could and what to handle it.
Mm-hmm.
But you made me think of something. So a lot of moms when they have their first baby, and by the way, if I pause this because I lost my voice, I had a bachelorette. If you really think about the first baby, immediately after, you're immediately in mom mode. You're mom mode. And you said the first time after you were with your husband again, you got pregnant. I'm curious to know the gap between how old was your first baby, and when you say Irish twins, that means they're a year apart, same birthday.
Not even. Yeah.
Give or take, we're just outside of Irish twins. So they're to the day 14 months apart.
Oh, yeah.
So I got pregnant when my first one was like 4 or 5 months old.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so then that's like right in that space where a lot of women have that emotional kind of postpartum things. Not every woman goes through it, by the way. Some do, where like hormones are kind of going crazy, that identity shock, that oh my goodness, I just left the hospital but now I have a baby, what do I do now? All that comes with
and also maternity leave, like if you are on something you have to go back to work or whatnot, that's like the time that things change.
So I'm curious to know, because I know that you mentioned that, what I saw on your Instagram was like that you don't want the narrative to always be that we're going to lose our identity when we become mothers. So what made you come to that realization?
So I had seen so much, like obviously I'm like consuming all this mommy content on Instagram. And I kept saying this thing about I'm losing my identity and like, what does that mean? Okay, well I can't do the things that I used to do. I don't really know who I am anymore. My relationship with my husband's different or my partner, whatever. And so then for me, I'm thinking, okay, well when we go through a lot of shifts in our life, like when we go to, from high school to college and move out, like that's a shift, but we don't call that losing our identity. Or like we go from college into the workforce, we don't call that losing our identity. And so I'm thinking to myself, like, what is it about having a baby? And the irony to me is like having a baby is literally the most permanent thing you're ever going to do.
Yeah.
And so for me,
and like natural, really.
the most natural.
Yeah.
And to me, I'm like, okay, so if this is like permanent, right? Like this is it. Like this is my forever. I mean, knock on wood, like you could get divorced. Like that's not
Right.
It's hopefully it's permanent, but
Yeah.
it might not be. But your babies are always going to be your baby. So it's for me, it was like, okay, well, this is now the identity. Like I'm consumed with this identity.
I'm assuming that's identity. Yes.
Yeah.
Instead of losing, did I just gain like what I've always been searching for?
Yeah.
Maybe I don't know. And like I'm a woman who loves to work. I love to work. I love to do things. I love my own hobbies. Like I have a golf club and a book club and like all these things.
I want to join your golf club.
Oh my gosh, it's so fun. But at
And
the
your
same
book club,
time,
actually.
I'm like, I'm not going to give these things up because I have this new identity of mother. But I think it's going to look different. Like I'm not the same employee.
Yeah.
I'm not the same book club host. I'm not the same golf. You know what I mean? Like these things look different, but I don't feel like I lost.
Like
I
you
feel
prioritize
like
things
you
differently.
Shift, like you
Yeah.
prioritize things differently.
And where
for
were
sure.
you when I had my son?
Yeah.
Just there in it with you, probably.
You know
So,
what's
like-
interesting though, because now I'm 2 years and 8 months removed from where I felt I lost my identity, and I'm slowly starting to feel like my flamingo is getting its pink back.
Yeah.
Right? You've heard that analogy,
Yeah.
right? Where
Yeah.
flamingo loses its pink.
Yeah.
I'll probably post
when
it
they're
on
depressed.
Instagram.
Totally.
So I feel like I'm finally like, okay, I got my groove back. Like, I got my groove back. I can do my slashes, my personal, my hobbies, my mothering, my business, my money.
Your time management.
I feel like I'm finally back, but it took me a while to get there. And to the public eye, which is why on our podcast we confess a lot of like the real stuff. But to the public eye, sometimes it's still like, oh, no, I don't know. Now you kind of seem like you're pretty all good. I'm like,
you good?
You're like, what I choose to post.
Yeah. And that was also part of my identity crisis, was like, what could I say? What could I not say? I still want to be inspiring and positive, but I don't want to lie. But then there was, I want to be fully present at work, but I can't because now I'm consumed on like what nipple size my son needs to have,
Yeah.
And so it was very, very hard, even though I thought I was always like type A, structured, everything on like a little robot with a personality and still like had a good time.
But like, a really pretty robot.
Thank you. But like, it's like, where were you? But I love that we're here because now moms that might have felt this, or maybe they're planning on getting pregnant, this is your episode.
Or
I hope so.
Yeah.
And like, because I had asked this earlier, and I know you're probably getting to it, but you're the inspiration now because of something somebody told you. Oh, yeah. So I would love to hear this.
Yes. And I will caveat all of this. Like, I have hard days. Like, don't get me wrong. Yeah. I certainly have hard days, and I certainly have, like, certain things that are challenging for me. And one time, separate to what I'm going to share, but I did have a mom one time say to me, I had just had my firstborn, and I thought the newborn phase was like the easiest thing ever. Like, it was just my cup of tea. I just loved it. Oh my gosh, if I could go back and relive it every day of my life. But a mom said to me, I said, oh my gosh, I have a newborn. She's asking me. I said, oh my gosh, he's however many weeks. She goes, I'm so sorry. It gets easier. And I was like,
it does not to me.
And I was like, easier? Like, I'm living in bliss. What do you mean? And now I have a 2-year-old, and I will say it's the hardest, most challenging.
We agree.
Okay? So I'm like, and she felt opposite. She was like, oh my gosh, toddlers are the best, and da-da-da. And so I feel like the other like avenue of this too is someone's else's hard isn't your hard.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I feel like a lot of times in motherhood we don't realize that, of like your strong suits and your type A and your, all of those things that were you before you became a mom are going to be super strong when you have like these tiny humans, or depleted when you have these tiny humans, depending on their personality. You know what I mean? It's like,
this is Nat and I, by the way. This is actually how we bonded, is because we are so opposite. Yeah. We're so similar in some ways, but parenting in that way, we're not like, we parent together, but we experience things so differently and so opposite. Like the newborn stage was like so blissful for me too. And you were like, I'm losing my mind at postpartum. Yeah. And now I'm like, Nah, come get my baby.
And I'm teaching him.
I have like a Daredevil 2.5-year-old. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just fascinating. It's like, it's just crazy that's
your experience is so different. I feel like
anyone's experience is so different to somebody else's experience.
Yeah. Or relative,
relative too. So I did have this one pivotal moment. It was right after I had my second baby. I remember like pumping in the car on the way home.
For two? Did you breastfeed? Yeah. Okay. Wow.
I did. So I went to this conference. The keynote speaker was actually Rebecca Minkoff.
Oh, I love her.
Minkoff. Yeah. She was phenomenal, by the way. But another speaker got up on the stage. There were thousands of women, and she said, "Plan to fail. Plan to fail at something. You cannot be good at everything. My biggest takeaway is plan to fail. Plan to fail at your marriage, your motherhood, your job, your hobbies, like your time for yourself. Plan to fail." And she's saying this to thousands of people, and I'm like, I don't feel that way. Like, I don't.
This does not resonate.
This does not resonate with me. Rebecca Minkoff had a different take. She's a mom of 4 or 5. I don't even know this, but she like travels the world with all these babies. So anyways, I went home and I thought to myself, I'm like, what if there's a whole different movement or take or opinion on this? And what if it's like, you don't have to fail at anything. Like, you can just figure out how to be good at all the things. And it's okay to be good at all the things. Like, it's okay to still run your book club and feel like you're a good mom and have a good relationship. Like, what if there's a different shift, or a mindset shift? Yeah. Instead of failure, can we call it something else? Can we do something else?
I've heard that so often too, and it just resonated with me. But I would hear it when I was working so much. Like, I had like 2 jobs, and they were both like full time, but I loved them both. One was creative outlet, the other was corporate, running somebody else's business. But I remember being like, hearing that, like, you can't be good at everything. And I'm like, but if I can be good at everything, I don't have to be perfect at everything, right?
I feel like that's so important, because I think that's where the failure comes in. Like, I remember being at my corporate job and I was always number one. Like, number one.
Yeah.
I sold the most in the country. I'm, up on the stage talking. Then become a mom, I'm like, do I even want to be number one? Because being number one means being away from my baby. I could be number like 10 or 20 and still be really good at my job, but I'm an even better mom.
Yeah.
So I think that's where I'm not a failure just because I'm not
failure
number one.
should never be the word.
Failure shouldn't be it.
Yeah.
That should not be on the table.
I feel like the word failure in motherhood should just be completely removed.
A failure in like in motherhood especially, but like in general, like I mean, like you don't even, if you tried, you didn't fail really. Like
I feel like that is too. Like, the growth is in the getting there.
Yeah. But then to hear somebody say this to all of these people that are listening, you're like, so all these people go home and take away that they're going to have to fail at something. And you're like, no,
I was
bitch.
like, no, we're not. We're going to shift that. We're not taking that away.
Yeah.
I did hear one time someone said to me, which was like the worst advice ever, and it became true when I became a mother. I was like, that's the worst advice I've ever gotten.
I love that. Learn from
was don't confuse effort for achievement. Like, meaning, if you, like, the effort isn't, like, you could try so hard, but if you didn't achieve, it doesn't matter, which is so
that's
not
terrible.
true.
That's
like, that's
terrible
the worst
to me.
advice,
Yeah.
because I feel like every day you wake up and you just be the best mom you can be.
Was this the
But
same
what
speaker?
are you achieving? No, somebody else.
I'm writing her a letter.
Yes.
Like, you're done for.
That is, that's just makes me sad.
You
for
know,
humanity.
yeah, right?
Yeah.
I know.
Look, it's this world of so much access to information and perspectives and stories and sharing that, it could be taken in so many different ways, right?
Yeah.
Like, what you say can be like controversial to someone because they're like, whoa, you don't know a struggle a day in your life. Like, or what do you mean? Just because you want to change the perspective for everyone else? Like, just because your story wasn't what they related to, they can make you the bad guy.
Totally.
Right? Or it's vice versa. Like, it could inspire them. It could make them feel like, okay, I want to strive to be this type of mother, which is what I'm gathering, which we should be a little bit more open-minded. Trying is actually not achieving what you're trying is not failing at all.
Exactly.
At all.
If you're
Bottom line.
Yeah.
Because if that were the case, then me trying to breastfeed and not accomplishing it for 3 months and going through absolute misery.
Yeah. Even though you
then
put
that
in
means I
all the
failed.
effort.
Which it's not, I mean, no.
It's not failure.
Yeah, that's
you know
that's
what
a
happens
terrifying
with
thing.
hormones?
Yeah.
These mofo hormones get into your head and reprogram your thoughts.
But also
and they tell you that you failed.
And to never think that you to know yourself, and like when you have a type A personality and you've always been the best at everything. First of all, me too, that I literally have to be. I'm just a competitive nature. But that's kind of something I'm going through. Like, I feel like I'm failing in some way because I'm just not on top of it the way that I usually am. So like that's just something I'm going through now, 2.5 years in. But before with Nat, like you're going through all these emotions, it's because you're feeling like a failure because those words were planted, even though
in my own mind, I would have never thought that.
But it doesn't
if I would have heard that, that easily would have affected
You would,
me.
yeah, you would think.
I would have absorbed that.
Yeah.
And I would think that's what that was meant for me.
Totally.
Yeah.
And I think we're so vulnerable. I mean, I know after becoming a mother, I became so much softer. Things didn't get to me like they did when I became a mother. And I think it's good. Like, I want to be soft and I want to be, But I was thinking about this the other day. I actually posted something on Instagram. It like hit me like a ton of bricks. I was driving on the freeway and I was like, oh my gosh. So I've been working out. Like when I had my first baby, I gained 75 pounds. And when I had my second baby, I gained 60 pounds. So
Really?
I've been like getting back to it.
Yeah.
And I was saying to my nanny, I was like, in my mind, I'm going to get back to my pre-baby weight.
Right.
But I'm like 25 pounds away from that. But then I was thinking to myself, I'm like, I'm actually not unhappy with my body.
Right.
So why do I need to get back to pre-baby weight? Like, if I took my goal of now, or like where I'm at right now, and compared it to pre-baby weight, that's failure. Like, sure, that's failing.
Yeah.
Or I can just be here where I'm at right now, a mom in a different body, in a body that fed 2 children. And
and remember that you like it. Like,
and I like it.
You're happy.
Like, why am I using that as a baseline for success? Why isn't now? Like, why isn't my current happiness my baseline for success?
Yeah.
It's,
It's so ass backwards when you actually think of stuff like
you
that.
think of it.
You know?
It literally was like,
Hi, before your weight, you did not breastfeed 2 babies.
I didn't
you
put a baby out of
You
me.
also did not have that power of actually giving birth. You were a lot, I mean, I don't like to say the word lesser than, but like you were just not at the level of where you are now in this powerful motherhood state
totally.
because you have that power of being a woman.
Yeah. And you're healthy, right?
Yeah.
That's what
Being healthy.
And you look
healthy,
great.
happy.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, I just think it hit me in that, and I feel like we probably have so many of these that we don't even realize, where it's like,
It's ingrained.
what am I still holding on to that I actually need to just let go of and be happy now?
Yeah,
you know.
You just did a whole...
I did the Landmark Forum, and I also am in a integrity seminar. And right now we're learning about standard and ideals and like how much we live our lives, because for so long our DNA is engraved in these standards and ideals of what we want, expect, what should, what could, what would, because of that's what we were trained and
what you
programmed
hold on to, right?
And what we hold on to.
Yeah.
And if we really like let go of those things, and I'm relating it to motherhood. If we let go of the standards and ideals of what we should be as women or in motherhood, we would have so much freedom, and we would open up the possibility to just be so happy and content with everything we're doing in our current day with motherhood.
Yeah, you're breaking standards, or you're upkeeping standards, right? The good ones.
I'll add on to that too, and I feel like both of you could resonate with this. Before I had a baby, I was totally a yes girl. Not that I was a people pleaser, but I was like, they were like, hey, do you want to like come and speak at this conference? Yes, I do.
Sure.
Hey, do you want to, you'd be the perfect person to go and run this, call and blah, blah, blah. Yes. Like everything was yes, 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 yes. And then I realized once I had my children, everything that I say yes to is saying no to them. And so then I had to really reshift my thought process and tell myself it's okay to say no. And now I say no to everything, which is how I've
You're here.
Burnout.
And you're here.
Yeah.
I'm very choosy with what I say yes to. Like it has to be really meaningful to be away from my kids. And so people ask me all the time, like, well, how do you not get burnt out? And I was like, I say no to 99% of the things that I get asked to do. I say no.
I was like everyone's best friend, made everybody friends. I was like a people connector, so I would say yes for everything. And just like a year ago, I was like, no, absolutely not. And I'm like, I can read my book.
Yes.
I can like not get upset about hanging with my child, even when she's being a little asshole in the moment. And knowing that I didn't go somewhere else because I'm still like, I'm calm, I'm collected, I'm happier, I'm not so tired, you know?
100%.
So I say yes to very few things, which is, that's funny that you say that because it's life-changing.
Totally.
It really is.
Totally.
I think in relation to what you just said, I think for me mostly it's work. It's my work. It's my work life, because I work from home, which I wanted to ask you about that too, because my son's downstairs, my office is upstairs. My son's downstairs with his nanny. My nanny and I are really cool. We're great. I give her like, certain worksheets and things I want my son to learn, because I'm not ready for him to go to a preschool yet for my own reasons. And so I'm upstairs, but I'm not completely away from him, If he just so happens to catch me on my way to the restroom, and then shit's like
sneaky.
Like,
game over.
By the way, when they say that it takes like 30 minutes for you to get back in focus or whatever the stat is, it's so true.
Yeah.
But at work, I'm like, yes, I'll do this. Yes, I'll make your job easier. Yes, let me get you.
And that's easy. Let me do it. Yeah.
Oh, I got it. It's so much easier. But in a way, I caught myself doing the same, like the Landmark thing I was telling you about. I caught myself. The reason why I'm saying yes is to empower myself to know that I can do it all. Because I put this standard and idea in my mind that I have to be able to do it all.
Because you always have. And then you became a mom. Yeah. And your priorities have to switch, have to shift. They don't have to, they can change. They don't have to like, you don't have to disregard them altogether.
And it's okay for me not to be in charge and have to have control of absolutely everything and say yes to absolutely everything. Because guess what? That brings me peace whenever I do say no now. I'm like,
Oh, I love
Wow.
it. I got like on a kick of it though.
Totally. Well, I feel like we should also find now empowerment in saying no to be with my kids.
Yeah.
Like
Right.
I almost like reframe it. Recently, a big competing company tried to poach me to go to interview with them. And pre-baby Lorissa would have been like, well, I mean, not that I want to leave my job. Like, I like my job. But pre-baby Lorissa would have just done the interview to get the job, just to say that I got the job.
Yeah.
Even though I didn't even want the job.
Yeah.
You know? Just
That
to be like,
validation, that,
I
like,
did it,
identity.
and
Yeah.
I could have it, but I don't want it.
This is just
But
for me. Yeah.
now that I have the boys, I'm just like, no.
Yeah.
No, thank you.
Yeah. Listen, I'm
What do you
happy.
mean? Like, I'm just like, I can't, I literally, just no.
Yeah.
It's
Wait,
not-
how old are your boys?
1 and 2.
1 and 2. Oh, 1. Because I was thinking 3 and 2, but no, 1 and 2. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's heavy toddler.
1 and 2.
And they're boys.
And they're 2 boys.
Oh my
And
goodness.
they're just,
I'm
Uh,
praying.
And
They're wonderful.
They're
They're
going to be
amazing.
best friends, though.
I know.
I love that. My sister has 2 boys. They're not even a year apart. They're very, very close. So I love
yeah.
it.
Yeah, they're Irish twin.
I kind of want to have another baby now after like all these years.
All these years, it's been 2.5
2.
years.
3, I know. Like all these years. It's been 100 years.
Hey, it
Had-
feels like
100 years. It does, and
No,
then it doesn't
does.
at all.
It
You know,
totally does. So the little baby's gonna turn 1 next week, actually,
Oh my gosh.
and I literally feel like I was just puking my brains out like
Yeah.
2 days ago.
Right.
Like on the way up here, I was listening to a podcast, and I've heard this a ton, but I was reminded, and she said the days are long, but the years are short, and like true,
That
they're
is-
never
they're-
have
it's-
never been more true.
When somebody
Then-
first said that to me, I was like, oh my God, that makes so much sense.
Because every day feels so
Yeah.
long, but then,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, they're 1, they're
Yeah.
2, they're gonna be 3. It's
I now
like-
have so many like 20-year-old teen, like very high teen nieces and nephews. And I remember sitting like in high school or whatnot and looking at the clock and being like, this 80-minute period it's just dragging on.
Drags.
I now am like, I try to tell them like, enjoy your time. Like my niece is 24. I'm like, she's now saying to me, I really wish that I was a kid a lot longer. Because adulthood is hard. And I'm like, yeah, just wait till you get to parenthood. Because it's hard, but it's the most rewarding thing. But the time flies so much that you're like, all of a sudden, I have a 2.5-year-old that is like yelling at me or mocking me or like making me laugh
Yeah.
every day. And you're like, how?
Where? How? When
Yeah.
did you?
It's like, enjoy life, people. Like,
Yeah.
it goes by so quickly.
And I was reminded of that recently because I was looking for a video of my son climbing out of his crib and falling.
yeah.
And I was like looking like, how do I find? And I'm scrolling and I'm like, oh my goodness, you were this little tiny bean, even though he was always a big boy.
He's a big bean, for sure.
A big bean, yeah. Big bean, little tiny big bean.
Alice Little Bean.
And because it's happening right in front of your eyes, right? It's like when a flower blooms. Like if you put a time lapse, it happens like that fast.
Yeah.
I kind of like thought my son literally just
Bloomed.
bloomed.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And is this kid now who's manipulating me?
Yeah. Oh, no.
And like asking me questions.
At the 2.5 mark, I was like, how are you fully growing and with full
Speaking.
sentences?
Yeah.
And literally like, mocking me. I'd be like, Ella, can you go get your water? And she's like, can you go get your water? And I'm like, where did you even learn this?
Oh,
Like, what in the world? And
gosh.
I said, oh my gosh. So then she goes, oh my gosh. I'm like, what?
Yesterday, I went to go change Layton's diaper, and he was like, "I'm busy, not right now."
Oh.
And I was like, "Okay, if you can say I'm busy, not right now, you're getting on
Yeah,
the potty.
yeah.
You don't need to be in a diaper anymore.
Yeah.
If you can say those words to me, I will
Yeah.
say though, having 2 now that I have the second one, ironically, my first one was not the best sleeper, like not a horrible sleeper, but not the best. So I definitely did like middle of the nights. I'm rocking. My second one, none of that. Like at 4 weeks old.
Please pray for me that to
Slept the
happen.
night. And you want to know the irony? I was like begging that child to wake up. Like I wanted that one-on-one,
Yeah.
like middle of the night cuddle so badly. And I remember being in it with Layton and being like, oh my God, like fucking go to sleep.
Yeah. Listen, this
But-
is me every night. It's still 2.5 years in, so I get it.
Okay, well, I
But then
probably would
sometimes
feel
when
this
she
way.
does sleep, I'm like, I need to go wake her up. So I get it.
Yeah. So it's just and then I did get sad. Point of this, I got on a tangent, but the point of this was thinking about not changing his diaper sounds wonderful, but but then I know I'll be sad if I don't have that one-on-one time to change his diaper.
Yeah.
Are you don't have to buy diapers anymore. Imagine that.
I know.
Like my fiance was
has no interest. Yeah.
Overachiever.
Yeah.
Love him, but we were planning to do the potty training thing, and my nanny left. Everyone heard, and then after that, I had to have surgery. Everyone heard, and then after that, I had to have another surgery. So
everyone heard.
Everyone heard. So now, the last time my fiance bought boxes of diapers and wipes, he was like, "Oh my God, I'm so emotional. This is gonna be the last time I have to buy boxes of diapers." And we got a text from our nanny today. "Hey guys, we're running out of nighttime diapers," and I was like, "Oh
no." The potty training thing is daunting to me. Like,
are you doing it now?
He's been asking about it.
Which is when you're supposed to.
Well, I'm like a crazy researcher, and so I've been doing all this research, and don't quote me on this, internet. But they say.
She's like, Wikipedia told me.
Wikipedia says, apparently girls actually have like the muscle capacity to hold it by 2.
Like their pelvic floor already?
Where boys don't. Like boys might have the mental capacity to be like, I have to pee and I have to poop and I'm going on the toilet. But they don't fully have like that muscle hold.
Yeah,
man, like closer to 2.5.
DJ still just kidding.
That's her fiance.
Her
husband.
Yeah.
So, anyways, I'm like gathering my research.
I like my doctor was basically Ella she can hold it. She knows what she's doing. She'll take her diaper off and then she'll go like in the theater or like in my office and she's like, "I peed on the ground." And I'm like, "How many times do we gotta go over this? You gotta pee in the toilet." And she knows what she's doing. But my doctor said when she has interest in the actual toilet, not just putting the toilet paper in the potty, which is what my daughter does, but that's when you like should jump on it. When they ask, do anything. And she has 2 kids and she's lovely. Her whole family's pediatrician. So I was like, I trust you.
It's funny because with Adrius, every night before we go into the bath, like, because we were trying we thought we were ready many times. And we were reading all the potty training books. He's 2 years old and 8 months, right? Okay. So he just hit that point where he's like, I'm a big boy. He keeps saying he's a big boy. I'm like, well, big boys don't wear diapers. Yeah. You know, big boys actually go use the potty. Yeah. And so he'll be like, yeah, I'm going to go. And he'll like actually pull his pants down, ask me to take off his diaper for him. And then, because he still kind of like struggles with it like a little bit. So, but I'm like, I'm
not Ella. She's like, I'm naked.
And then so he'll sit and he's like, I'm like, are you going? He's yeah. And he just sits there. He can't fucking go. He's not actually going. And
maybe he's shy.
Okay, I'll pee. And then he'll flush the toilet. And then I'm like, but you didn't go.
See, but I feel like they don't have the muscle-mind connection.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They
just know you sit. They watch you sit.
Yes.
So,
but like the mind-muscle connection. Yeah. To be like, okay, brain, I'm gonna go, and then for his muscles to be like, okay, I'm gonna go.
Which Ella does. So it makes sense.
But they say girls have it.
Men
earlier.
With boys, and I just want to chime in back to the Wikipedia thing. What I learned was that you really should with boys time them. Because if you know how much they're drinking water. At least I know for Adrius, like he has 1 little bottle of water. I know when he's done with that. I know when he's had 3. I know when he's had 2. Yeah. I know everything because I'm a psycho. And so like I'm watching him. And I'm like, I know he already peed because I just know. So if I really were to just take that little timer and say, okay, in 25 minutes he might have to pee again, gauging how much water he has. He's gonna let it go naturally because it's time for him to pee and it's gonna happen. It's about finding it out, right? Yeah. Figuring it out. Obviously, it's never gonna be perfect, and I'm never gonna be able to predict his poops, but I'm very close. Like, I'm very close based on when he had breakfast, when he had lunch, when he had his snacky, when he had his dinner. I know how many times he peed, and I know how many times he's pooped. So now it's about finding that schedule and being like, I know you haven't peed yet. Get your booty on that potty.
Yeah. Or no schedule. My kid is not a schedule person. No. She's not. She has her bedtime, but she's like, she doesn't ever have like a routine. She's just totally hates it no matter what. I mean, I take her to ballet, she does her my gym and all of those things. She has her time, but she's not a scheduled girl. She's like, no, I'm gonna do whatever I want whenever I want.
It's so funny.
She has a mind of her own. Yeah, she has a mind of her own.
How about you? Do your sons, are they picky eaters? Did you have any experience with that? No.
We did baby-led weaning. Yep. Fully baby-led weaning. My little one at first was a little hesitant of food, but like my 2-year-old will eat tahini, ceviche.
Yeah. Oh my God,
Ella.
You, like everything. I'll be like,
And she
"That's a
eats me out
jalapeno."
of house and home, like every day.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, who?
Oh, yeah.
My son
those
will
kids
not
eat-
touch anything.
Yeah.
Everything.
Yeah,
Like those
I just
things.
doesn't eat. That's like we're opposite. And so are our
Did
kids.
you do baby-led weaning?
Yes.
And you did all the things.
All
and
the
he's
things.
just like, no, I'm not eating.
And she cooks with him. He just
I cook
doesn't
with
like
him. So recently, he loves chicken. And he loves
Okay.
so he gets his protein, eggs, chicken. He has like a coconut alternative yogurt. He drinks milk. He loves pasta. So I've been putting everything in the pasta
Yeah.
sauce.
Yeah.
But if I were to just put like a quesadilla in front of him, he'd be like, "No, thank you, mommy." No.
You know what? I did have this thought though, and it's become even more clear with the second one because their personalities are so like they couldn't be more different of kids. Like, hello, they're different people.
Yeah.
But I think it was like because they're so close in age, I could literally see like, oh my gosh, kids are so different.
Yeah.
But I had this thought where it's like we as adults have bad days, or like days where we just wake up and we're annoyed, or days when we just don't want to eat or something, you know. And
I had one of
try
those
to
yesterday.
Remember that with them.
Yeah.
Instead of being like, you're supposed to drink milk,
Yeah.
you're supposed to eat, you're supposed to. I mean, we're very scheduled, don't get me wrong. But I do try to remember that.
I'm just
on
like,
rough days.
you get your calories. Yeah. I'm just like, she's eating. Maybe she's teething. Like, you never know.
You never know.
The other day, like, we got on a plane. We've flown so many times. She was like, screaming. She's never screamed on a plane. And I was traveling by myself, and I was like, I'm so sorry. And then I was like, no, I'm not. You all have kids. You know how this goes.
You know what's going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But she kept saying, my stomach hurts, her tummy. She's never said it. And then that morning I had been like, Ellie, you have to eat something. We're going. And then I felt bad. And then I was like, she gets her nutrients. She eats. She's fine. Like, she's a kid. You know,
Yeah.
they're just like us, like
Yeah.
you said. You're going to have your days. I try to remember that all the time. And now when she was like, my stomach hurts, I was like, did I like force you to eat when your stomach was hurting? You know?
Yeah.
So then now I'm just going to commit to letting her show me what she wants, show me what she
when
needs.
she's hungry and stuff.
Yeah, because she's never not going to eat. Like,
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, they're not going to starve themselves.
yeah, for sure.
That part.
Yeah. Like, they're not going to starve their own self. So,
Especially not Ella.
no. Yeah.
Well, honestly, you guys, I feel like we got so much from this conversation, and thank you so much for joining us, Larissa. I feel like we might have to bring you on again. I don't know
Yeah.
why, but I'm
Yes.
compelled to say, hey,
I
come
would
back.
love to.
Yeah.
Catch up with us when baby number two turns 2.
Yeah.
And then how you're dealing with a 2-year-old and a 3-year-old.
Oh.
Because I feel like I'm worried about the 3-year-old stage. There's so much pressure on like the potty training and all the things. But,
School, everything.
oh
yeah.
my goodness. But thank you for making the drive out here. And please share
Yeah.
with our audience what your social media is.
I'm at Lorissa Violet, and you can also find my website, which is larissaviolet.com, which I do. I call it the anti-blog because we don't have time to read blogs. I certainly don't have time to read blogs,
No.
but I post all my helpful research
Podcast
on the
all day.
website. Podcast all day. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah.
We had lots of different tangents, so you
Yes.
definitely have to come back. We have to talk about potty training more.
Yeah.
So.
All right,
Thanks for
guys.
having
Well,
me.
of course. Thank you guys for
Thank
listening.
you.
Make sure to follow us on Talk Baby PC.
Talk
and
baby to me, PC.
Comment, questions, like, respond to things, support, do all the, we
Yeah.
cut.
What are you? I'm so embarrassed.
Thank you guys so much for listening. You can stay in touch with us on Instagram at TalkBabyToMePC and our YouTube at Talk Baby to Me Podcast.
And listen to us on Apple and Spotify or anywhere you get your podcasts.
Thank you.
Thanks.